business is Merchant Processing Solutions. I am a raving fan of the Miramar Pembroke Pines Regional Chamber of Commerce. And today I have with us, and every week actually, my partner, Robert Goltz, the Executive Director for the Miramar Pembroke Pines Regional Chamber of Commerce. But today, drum roll, it is Robert Goltz Day, a proclamation by the mayor of Broward County saying that Robert has been awarded the great prize of Executive Director of Chambers for the state of Florida. Congratulations, Robert.
You know, if this was really my way for a day, it'd be like the Purge day from the movie, where everybody just goes out and wipes out everybody. That's how I would look at it today.
Sad. No, I heard you earlier say, so my dream would be, what was it now? Restaurants would give me all free food and what?
A couple weeks ago, I got Miramar gave me a day, and I went to some restaurants going, hey, I got this little thing here. Got nothing. And so,
Robert, we'll give you a hug later.
I'm very honored. I'm very honored and speechless about it. I just think it's kind of funny for me to be getting this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do too, because of who you are. But I gotta. But the background, just so that you know, this radio show was the brainchild of myself and Marcella. But I said I wouldn't do it without the chamber and you know why? Because
I'm good looking. The women.
You have a face. Me too. But the reason I say that is because you bring the ability to actually, what you do for your businesses that are members of the chambers, the three chambers that you have, that you are director over. They mean so much to you, and you put that effort into things like this show and, Leadership South Broward and, the nonprofits that you support and the foundations and reaching out to the kids at the school, trying to get them to become leaders and entrepreneurs. That's something that other people don't do. It's about how can I take a lot of vacations and work only. Yeah. You're the hardest working guy I know.
The way I always look at it, just like I said this morning, I do my job, and that's what people have hired me to do. And luckily, I do get some recognition. But I feel, me, I'm just awkward about it. I just want to do my job and all that. And that's why I'd like to let's get back to what we're doing here. Well, let's talk about our guest today.
Yes, exactly. Yes, our guest. So I am going to go ahead and we're going to now, John, you're very pretty, but I'm going to ask that Monica start, okay? Monica, would you introduce yourself and tell our listeners who you are and the business that you're in?
Sure. So my name is Monica Roca Casala. I'm the owner and founder of Agile Planners, and we are a QuickBooks consulting firm, and we specialize in connecting third-party apps and more so automating workflows and processes to connect to and from QuickBooks.
Oh, excellent. Very interesting. Okay, John, please talk to us about yourself and your business and what you do.
Okay. My name is John Gonzales, and I've been an accountant for over 25 years. In January, I just acquired T&J Tax Services here in Pembroke Pines, which I'm very happy about because I worked there for 5 years, and it's a company that's been there for 40 years, helping people with their taxes and their accounting. And we specialize mostly in tax resolution, helping people take care of problems with the IRS.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I've got some questions, but I'm going to get back to that one. I always have questions. So why is it important for a company to actually do accounting? I mean, I'm just just an entrepreneur. It's just me, myself, and I. And, if I get cash, it just goes into the right pocket. If I get a credit card, I put it on my Square. And, at the end of the week, I just figure how much money and, boom, done. So how is that not good? Monica, we'll start with you.
So I'll allow John to answer from a tax perspective, but from a business perspective, it's always important to really know your metrics, right? Like, how can you grow your business if you're not monitoring how you're spending your money or what money's coming in, what's working for you and what isn't, right? So having a clear financial setup is what's going to allow you to really grow your business.
I had somebody say to me, I don't need like an accounting system until I have employees. That's not true then by what you just said?
Not at all. I mean, I would say it's more important to get, the devil's in the details. So if you don't get it set up from the beginning properly, then you're not setting yourself up for success.
Oh, I like that. That was good.
Setting up for success. That's
Yeah.
phrase, right?
Yeah. If you want to set up for success, you kind of set up at the beginning. It's like, oh, what do you mean the IRS wants to see me? I got nothing to show them. I didn't keep anything. I didn't do anything.
You got it.
And then they go to John.
Absolutely. and from a tax perspective, that's very important because I look at accounting in a business as driving in an open road and blinded. It's like you're fine if it's open, but we know business is not open road. There's a lot of bumps along the road, and tax is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, roadblock.
It can close a company, right? It can shut you down.
Absolutely.
Can you go to jail if you don't pay your right tax?
Under the right conditions, yes. Especially if you're cheating, right?
And especially if you don't go see John to get you out before they come and they put the handcuffs on.
Before they do that, yeah, absolutely.
Let's be honest. Most people wouldn't go into business nowadays with all the taxes and all the other laws that we have to go through to learn and go through. I laugh. When my kids were small and did the lemonade stands around the corners, and I'm like, they go, oh, look at Dad, I'm a real business. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not. I go, because otherwise I'm taking my cut and the government's taking his cut. You got nothing. And by the way, you need to employ somebody to do those cuts for you. It's in today's day and age, it's just so important. I see so many small businesses. They go without proper training, and they believe, just like as you said at the beginning, money comes in, money goes out. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. And many people, especially brand new people starting in businesses, they actually believe that that's as easy as it is to start a business. They don't understand that, similar to the two people that we have here, that there are rules and regulations and stuff that you need to find the best of the best to really get you through as we move forward. So I'm glad you have that you went out and got these two people today to talk about taxes and
I know
finances.
We're going to start tax season, and both of you are going to be very busy, I would assume. But I would assume now, John, you also know and do some part of the back end, if I'm understanding, of QuickBooks, but not as intricately as what Monica does. Is that correct?
Right. And it was very interesting because we had a conversation outside about it. And from what she was telling me, I think what she's doing is what needs to be done nowadays, because QuickBooks used to be very simple. It's not anymore. It looks simple, but people can get very lost in QuickBooks, and that's where she comes in really handy. We take care of people's accounting from on QuickBooks, but not as intense as she can get with specific companies. And that's one point to have in mind, is that it's not general for everybody. It depends on the company.
And that's what's going to be my next question. So, Monica, why don't you tell me, who are some ideal customers for QuickBooks?
So, Intuit has released so many new products as of late, right? So there's not just desktop and online. Now we have different flavors of both desktop editions and online. So we have QuickBooks Online, self-employed. We have, Simple Start, all of these different types of things. And it really, navigating through their ecosystem can be tricky if you don't know what you need. Right. So depending on how your business is set up and what you're looking to and where you're looking to get to is how you would have to pick the right product for your business. Now, the interesting part of this entire ecosystem is that on average, a business now is using anywhere from 5 to 7 different applications in their day-to-day. So it's how do we get these businesses to work together? So I'll give you
the applications themselves. You can make them talk to each other?
Absolutely. So we'll take the example of an online retailer, right? So they may have a proprietary website. They may be selling on Amazon and Etsy and eBay, right? So if they want to keep one generalized local inventory, then they would keep that in QuickBooks and kind of push out what's available to all of the different marketplaces or sales channels, right? So it's interesting. It just depends on how you run your business and really structuring it in a way so that you can scale it to where you want to be, even if that may not be right now.
Okay. So, John, I'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, me being a brand new small business and going out there, I shouldn't just go out to, say, Office Depot, Staples, or anybody and just go, hey, I just need QuickBooks. That's all I need.
I don't even think you can buy them there anymore. You're really antiquated.
Oh my gosh.
Like everything's like subscription based now, isn't it?
No, you can still pick up a desktop edition, but it depends. I mean, it depends on how you want to run your business. Most businesses are remote now. So do you want to be in the cloud? Do you want to be tied to a computer? Do you want people to connect to that file? So there's a lot of different questions you need to ask yourself before you purchase software.
What do you mean connect to that file?
So
People,
if you're,
I'd like to connect to your file, Robert.
Well,
well, let's say you
a
have
little shy.
if you're in a general office environment and you have an admin, but yet you travel a lot and want to be able to connect to the file as you travel, right? So then we need to set you up in a virtual environment or maybe a hosted file, right? So
I'm sorry, you bring up a good point about whether you can just go to a store and buy this software. One time I got asked by someone who I was doing the taxes for, he says, why should I pay you if I can do my taxes on TurboTax? What's the difference? And I just said, it's peace of mind. Peace of mind.
Yeah, I've known my sister-in-law's a CPA, and her big season's like popping around the corner very soon. So I know we needed to get you in now because come January 15th, you'd be underwater going, Gracia wouldn't see you at all anymore for that season. But she told me that it's not the system, it's what I know that they're paying for.
Right.
Because every year, just coming into November, there's a whole bunch of new IRS regulations, new benefits. We've got, since our new president, I understand there's all kinds of different changes in the IRS. Does your software, is it 3 years old? Has it been updated? Are you confident? Something that you thought was okay to do then is no longer okay to do now. And next thing you know, well, we're with the IRS, we're shutting you down because you didn't pay any attention. So they're paying for you and what you know and the training you have in the current state we're in today, correct?
Well, yeah, the software helps guide you to get things done, but it's not always going to do it right because there's a few things along the way that the software doesn't really know, doesn't help you choose. The right person, the right professional is going to guide you. It's going to advise you. What do you need? What don't you need? So it's not going to help you save taxes. That's for sure. It's not there for that.
Right. We're in a specialized market. I mean, if you think about doctors, right, you can Google what your symptoms are on WebMD, but you definitely want a specialist to diagnose you, right?
My chart is a Cleveland Clinic thing. You can go to my chart and then press pick a doctor or consult with a doctor, and like somebody will come up. I mean, you're going to pay for the visit, but I'm like, yeah, look. and is the color shade that it's green? Is it going to look green to him? Is it? I mean, I'm not really there to like having my vitals checked with a doctor via a screen.
I am so concerned right now because now this has brought up so many things about my decimal points, my balance sheets, my assets, and everything. That I've got to really think about this whole show if I'm going to share that with Stephanie or not. And I don't know if I know that. We'll take our first break.
Latina International College with a campus in Miramar, Florida, is a boutique college with an applied, cutting-edge holistic education model. Business, tourism, and communication students not only develop their field intellectual skills, but also are empowered to become holistic professionals through yoga, self-empowerment, Tai Chi courses, and more. Sign up to become a holistic professional at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
Uni Latina International College offers an English as a second language program for international students. UIC's high qualified ESL teachers help students develop and master the English speaking and comprehension skills needed for both work and pleasure. Our ESL program also focuses on cultural adaptation through fun field trips and cultural experiences. Start your journey today at unilatina.edu/ESL or call 954-607-4344.
The Entrepreneurial Hour with Stephanie Cates and Robert Goltz.
And we're back. You know what? I'm really worrying now even more so about my depreciation with Stephanie being in my life. I don't know if that's growing for me or not.
Just because now you won awards, I'll have to figure out what I can win.
What is it, social accounting?
Yeah, what's my social accounting here? I don't know here.
Listen, my students here at Uni Latina love me. My dogs wag their tail when they see me. That's enough for me.
Inside, I'm wagging right now.
So, getting back to QuickBooks and accounting. So, let's just assume that I'm a fairly multifaceted company. Is QuickBooks always the answer for every company, or is there still the old-fashioned market accounting methods available? Can you talk, both of you, about that?
So, right now we're in an interesting market because with the development of third-party apps, what we're finding is that we can keep you inside a mid-market product like QuickBooks and keep you outside of an ERP, let's say our, SAP systems and things of that nature.
You're speaking Greek to me. What did you just say?
So,
what's SAP mean? That's what she said.
Resource platforms, right? So these are the type of accounting platforms that things like Carnival Cruise Lines will use and things like that. So depending on the nature of your business, how large it is, how many users, we're able to keep you in a product, one of the QuickBooks products a lot longer than we were before.
Okay. And John, let's say that they're not a QuickBook customer. You actually have accounting in your office as well, CPA, accounting, all of that. Talk to me what the majority of your clients are doing that maybe not be actually QuickBooks, so that people know that there's other choices available. But
well, we have a great variety of clients. We even have clients who don't have accounting at all, and that's why they get into problems.
Okay, that's what we're trying to educate you guys about. Exactly. You got to have an accounting system.
So they end up somehow not having the information, and we have to make up reasonable numbers, even though you don't make up.
Inventing
numbers.
Sounds really dangerous.
Believe me.
I'd like gold cuffs, please.
Yeah.
So the most popular accounting software in the world is Excel, right?
Right. So there's some people that we can just throw numbers on Excel and whatever numbers they gave us, because believe it or not, we can use numbers people give us, because they're the ones signing the return at the end. Now, it is our job as accountants to make sure that those numbers really reflect the company that they're running, Can
you personally can your firm or you get into trouble if you got hoodwinked?
If we misguide them, yes.
If you misguide them, but if they give you bogus numbers and they get caught, will they come to you?
Well, usually if someone gives us bogus numbers, I would call bogus numbers something that they really, we kind of know that they don't have a backup for that. Mm-hmm. So we don't take care of them because that's cheap.
Okay, so Okay, so if they don't have proof, you don't touch
a line
them.
There. Right.
Oh.
Well, it's not, if they don't have proof, we don't touch them to do their accounting. But if they have problems with the IRS because they haven't filed for many years, we will actually come up with numbers that are reasonable for what they do. For example, a truck driver has a lot of mileage, a lot of auto expenses, from the truck. So, the IRS does have certain numbers that we can go by. Mm-hmm. And those are reasonable numbers, to try to expense out of their income. But again, we have clients that they can just quickly do something on Excel, and it's perfectly fine. But it's not going to take them anywhere. It's going to give us the ability to file their taxes and to see what what their profit and loss is, kind of. But they won't be able to run a company like that. you need an accounting system.
So let's just say I throw numbers on an Excel spreadsheet. Aren't I potentially losing a lot of benefits that I could be getting if I actually had a formal software recording that?
Absolutely.
Because that's the way I look at it. I didn't know I needed it. I have the one for sole proprietor, the QuickBooks, and every time I get in the car, it automatically starts and stops when I start and stop with the car, the mileage. Do you think I was going to do that every single time I got in the car? No, but I think that's a cool tool. And now I can actually say, it tells me I came to the college, I went to the breakfast, I go here. Those are all business expenses once I left my house that I wasn't keeping track for. How do people do all that manual stuff if they don't have it on an app on their phone or whatever?
They don't, they guess.
They used to have the little book. Yeah, maybe I'll fill it out the other.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, crap, I got to do my travel log. And you're like, oh, where did I go? I got to find my calendar. And it's a book and the piece of paper oh my God.
With what you have with QuickBooks, you have backup in case you ever get an audit. Here it is. Here's all the information. That's what you need. You need to keep track of all that.
Right. And there's a lot of other, we're when we talk about technology, right, there's a lot of AI that's going into it, right? So artificial intelligence now that's, bank feeds and coding of your information. And, there's a lot of talk in the bookkeeping world, our bookkeeper is going to be like replaced, which is, I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's just, we're going to move more to an advisory role, right?
So what is an actual bookkeeper? So let's look at the definitions. Bookkeeper, tax preparer, tax fighter, trainer, QuickBooks. What do they call
We're pro advisors?
Pro advisors. That's right. QuickBook Pro advisors. I've heard these terms before. Can we get a little definition on the terms?
So the definition actually varies by state. Some states you can't technically say that you're an accountant if you're not a CPA. It just depends, right? There are some certification courses you can take, like I believe it's AICB, that you can become a certified bookkeeper, but that's not always recognized. So it's kind of a vague world to be in. Typically,
sounds like merchant services. Oh, and executive director. Wild South Florida.
Right. So in my world, what we say is, bookkeeper is someone that will actually process your day-to-day transactions, create invoices. There's specialties that can be broken out, accounts receivable, accounts payable. And then once you get into the reporting and metrics, that's where we kind of bridge it out into more accounting or an accountant. And then you have your tax preparers, you have your CPAs, enrolled agents, and things.
Bookkeeper is kind of like what, as everybody that starts a little company, especially like a construction company or so on, is what their wives do. Keep track of the money coming in.
We had Lori in here. Didn't she say?
Yeah, that's what she said.
In the back for John. He just go out there and slap up the roofs and shit.
The difference is that they actually, most of the time, they don't know what they're doing. And, because what happens is you need to put all of this in certain accounts. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, you need to have all that sorted out for tax purposes to file your taxes. And when they come to the office, they come with a mess, something just thrown in Excel. So if they do a good job, it actually saves them money along the way, because when they come to the accountant, we don't have to deal with it. We can just get a profit and loss and know exactly where to put the numbers.
What's a profit and loss?
A profit and loss is the income. It's a report that shows the income, what they bring in sales, and all of the expenses.
Profit and loss. Okay.
Right.
And why would you need a profit and loss for the IRS?
It shows the net. It shows the net profit. First you have the gross profit, which is the income, and then minus the expenses is the net profit. But we need that before we actually go and file the tax returns, because when you're doing the tax returns, you're actually creating a profit and loss, but with what the IRS needs for tax purposes.
And what's that? The gross or the net?
No, we need everything. We need all the what went where in which account. Like they'll ask for auto expenses. We have some things to detail. Some things we can just put in general, like if they have business expenses that are really not relevant to most things that you use in business. You can put as others or, specify what you spent it on. But the tax returns ask for specific things like for auto expenses, for marketing expenses, and things like that. So we need that report because that's where we get that information from. If they don't have it, we have to do bookkeeping, which is create those accounts and put the amount in those accounts.
Robert, one time I was asking somebody, so what was your last year? Because in merchant services, we have to ask how much they think they're going to process through their credit card. They want to know, is it going to be $1 million? Is it going to be $3,000 a year? Where are we looking at? And they goes, well, I haven't really done my profit and loss in a couple of years because I'm afraid to see where I was like,
afraid to see if I actually...
Yeah. I just found that so amazing.
By the way, merchant processing is one of the biggest expenses. Not just kidding.
No, but
if they have a really good profit and loss, they're able to see if you can do a good job for them.
Yeah,
Exactly. If you don't know what that number is, if you haven't broken that number out, you don't know what your percentages are.
Well, and the thing is when most businesses start, they should plan for a loss their first 3 years. But you want to recoup that money. So at the same time, you want to know how much you had to personally spend and put in, especially, and where a lot of businesses make that mistake is they don't put in their hours. Oh yeah, I ran this business. Everything's going really good. Hey, yeah, we're making money. Well, not if we were paying you. You're not making anything. And you see that in a lot of the small restaurants. They go, oh yeah, I got this great little restaurant. I'm making some money and things of that nature. But if you actually put in what their hours were, and they go, oh well, it's not a big deal because I eat at the restaurant,
right?
Or I have a hotel. I sleep at the hotel, so I don't take that into account. Or I work out of my home, and I don't take into account that there's some tax deductions there too. And so you can, a lot of times small businesses really shouldn't be in business, and they'll hold on for a good amount of time, but it's because they're subsidizing in some way. I don't need a place to sleep if I'm always at the office not doing anything else.
One of the things that I get asked a lot is I said to them, okay, you made so much money and you owe so much in taxes. Like, but where did all my money go? And I said, well, have you looked at the mansion you live in?
Yeah, or the car you're driving, or the car your kids are driving, or
It's like they're not considering that part of the income, right?
I refer to this book quite frequently, and it was by David Finkel. He developed Maui Mastermind, and it's for small business entrepreneurs. And he wrote a book called Build a Business, Not Just a Job. And I think that, and I love that title, and I've read the book a couple of times, and it really talks about why did you go into this? Did you just hate your boss one day and said, I could do this without him, and just start doing that job? Mm-hmm. And then one day after you've been working the job for 6 months, you go, crap, I guess I should be keeping better bookkeeping, and that actually evolves. Or did you sit down and say, I want to create a business, so let me put in a system, let me find somebody who's going to educate me, let me do my homework and pull out these people and build a team around me? And I think not only am I a very valuable part of a business team, but both of you are probably the core, along with a good bank or a credit union or something, and a good attorney, I would say. And then, of course, join your local chamber, and then you get the support from the chamber. So
we're going to take another break, and while you guys are resting and listening to some of these commercials and that going on, I'm going to find out if I can actually deduct my psychology expenses out for having to work with Stephanie since I'm here. And we're going to have a discussion on that, but we'll be back to you in just a couple minutes.
Unilatina International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with focus on entrepreneurship. UIC offers associate and bachelor degree programs in business, tourism, and communications and media. Associate degree students develop their business plan while studying at UIC. Dream, learn, and grow. Join now our business incubator. Learn more at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
The Entrepreneurial Hour, shining light on the Tri-Chamber members.
Unilatina International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with an applied, cutting-edge, holistic education model. Business, tourism, and communication students not only develop their field intellectual skills, but are also empowered to become holistic professionals and human beings through yoga, self-empowerment, holistic human development courses, and more. Sign up to become a holistic professional at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
Well, we're back, and we found out there's not enough money in the world to be able to take care of the mental distress that I deal with every Tuesday here on the show. So we're back here with the. We're talking about taxes and QuickBooks, and Stephanie, I'll shoot it back over to you.
Did you notice that he's just about the comments? I get to do all the rough work here. Yeah. Oh, his mouth's open. Nothing's coming out.
No, nothing's coming out.
All right. Okay. So we've talked about QuickBooks. We've talked about accounting. Talk to me about some of the industries that really, really need to consider a good accounting system, maybe like QuickBooks or something else. They at least need to consult with people like you before they open their business. Talk to me about which industries are really, really needing that.
So my answer to that would be that all businesses definitely need some type of accounting platform. What you would need or how robust you would need to go. And that's the beauty of all of the different versions of software now, is that you may not need some of the bells and whistles that the larger packages have, right? So you could likely go with something like self-employed if you have a small startup business. There are some things you should look out for. When I say that, like using QuickBooks Self-Employed, a lot of people don't know that you can't upgrade that platform. So if you need to convert it because your business is growing and you want to make some changes to the chart of account, then you're kind of stuck at that point where you need to create a new file. So again, that's where it's beneficial to consult with a professional at that point before you pick a platform, to make sure that it's scalable for the type of business and where you're looking to go, right? So that you can forecast where you want to get to.
Again, you talk about this software being available. Honestly, if we go back 10 years ago, I can remember in the market Peachtree and some of these big companies that did accounting for, and you either had to go with one of these big systems or you just had to have an accountant on staff, a bookkeeper on staff, who would then send something to someone like yourself, John, and then you'd have all of these things done. And now with the software, it does allow one, I guess, I don't know how many employees would have to run it. It would just keep track. And then once you have track, then reports can be generated. And then consultants, accountants, bookkeepers, tax preparers like yourself, John, and you, Monica, both of you would then take that data and then help them get it into either financials or tax returns or whatever is required. And so the next question, John, I was going to ask you, I work with a lot of bank business people. They refer our company, especially if they've got someone who wasn't accepted by their own bank processor. And they always tell me that the biggest challenge they have is these people coming up with proper financials. And they can't get a business loan. You really can't, if you're kind of one of these dubious or brand new business, you have to show something. How do you help these people, like, so that they can get a loan? And what kind of businesses do you see that you're having to help?
Well, in fact, we specialize in that in my office. Not only do we take care of problems with the IRS, but we also take care of problems people not being able to get financing for their business, or sometimes they have properties that they want to refinance or something going on in terms of financing. Their numbers sometimes they don't even have any numbers. They don't have any bookkeeping. They don't have any accounting done. And when they do, obviously they have the wrong numbers, because when it comes to these companies, financial companies, they ask for tax returns and for profit and loss, balance sheets, and sometimes they haven't prepared balance sheets. They have some kind of bookkeeping, but nobody has created the reports. And if they have created the reports, obviously they show less than what they actually profited, sometimes for tax purposes. on the tax return, we're able to show less of a profit sometimes because some things are not, I guess they have a tax advantage to it. For example, like you can depreciate property and things like that will make your profit and loss look lower. But in reality, some of these financing companies, they take that depreciation and put it back into their income. So knowing that and managing that is key to getting finance. So that's, again, a lot of people, they just don't pay attention to that until they find that roadblock.
Until they've been denied the first time. I mean, truthfully, if you're going to go out for financing, I would say definitely reach out to your tax professional before you even submit those documents. Make sure everything's in order.
Right.
They're going to assure that, you have everything.
Right. One of the misunderstandings too is that, they get, for example, advice to go to a tax professional, but they got to make sure they go to the right person. There's people that just prepare taxes. That's all they do. They just take your numbers, profit and loss from businesses or just personal W-2s, 1099s. They put it in a tax return and they put it all together and prepare taxes for you. Our office, we do everything. We do bookkeeping, we do the accounting, we do the tax preparation. So we put all of that together. And on top of all that, we do also business advice. Like I said, putting all the numbers together so that you can get proper financing. Of course, all those numbers have to be real.
So they need to understand the goal that they want, not only, again, same book that I was talking about, it said you've got either grow your business, you want it scalable, you want to be able to make it so that you can sell it, or you want to go ahead and like franchise it and get it out there. So you have options out there. Do you want to sell it? Do you want to give it to your kids? You have to know these things right up front with your business. It isn't like, I lost my job, I'm going to buy myself a van and start doing mobile detailing. Well, what is that going to be 2 years from now?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that could be the catalyst, right? Like, I lost my job, I'm going to go into business for myself. But where's your vision?
But you just don't jump out today and buy the van and say, I'm just going to start because I need the money.
Right.
You've got to sit back and take a look at, where do you want to see this business in a year? Will I want to buy more trucks? Will I have the money to buy more trucks? Will I want to hire people? If I'm hiring, how do I get payroll involved? Can I do that with QuickBooks? Do I need to hire an accountant that'll help me with payroll and accounting? And all of this is crazy.
And who's going to back that? When we get down to the nuts and bolts of things, when you're starting a business and running a business and you're trying to grow a business, there's one thing that they all ask for. They're all looking for what is the money that you have. And if you can't show some kind of background regarding your personal or your business money, you're not going to get the financing that you're looking for. So you may go, I'm going to start up a new business. And the bank goes, well, you know what do you have as assets? That's what they ask you. Or what's your track record? And if you don't have those numbers, they may loan you the money, but it's going to be at a higher interest rate, just like your car. When you buy a car, not everybody gets that 0 point whatever when they go to the car dealership. They do that background credit check and they go, hey, you know what? You're a little bit more risky. Guess what? You're going to be paying more for this. And that's why you see so many businesses, they go out there, great ideas, great dreamers. But next thing you know, 5 years down the road, their house is repossessed and they're going down and they're like, well, I didn't understand that this was going to happen. Well, you didn't watch your money the whole time. You weren't watching and you go, okay. And everybody does a little, we'll forgive this, we'll forgive that. Those forgiveness, yeah, they're forgiven, but that's a higher interest you're going to keep on building. And you have to look at that. And that's why, when I'm working with businesses every year, I'm asking them to look at their credit. You know what? Maybe you need to refine your business every 2 or 3 years, depending on what the market holds. But you completely put yourself outside of the scope of even being eligible for refinancing your when you don't have a track,
when you haven't kept the proper records. Am I correct?
Right. I mean, like, one of the things I tell my clients is, the bank doesn't pass out umbrellas when it's already raining, right? So If you wanna,
Yeah.
if you've had a good year, that may be the time to talk to your advisors and say, should I go out for a line of credit? You know, should I get it now in case I want, you know, or where I'm headed in my business?
Oh, that's a really smart idea. I hadn't thought about that. You don't really need it now, but just have it sitting there.
Get it while it's good. I mean, you know, that's the.
I've got a couple of credit cards that's got lines on it, and I don't use them. I've got them put away, but I was told by my sister-in-law saying, don't get rid of those. It actually could detriment your credit rating if you just don't use them, or if you use them, get rid of the payment right away, and this elevates your score. Do businesses have scores too?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you explain how they score them?
Definitely not my area of specialties.
It's not my area either, but I know that they have special scores for them, and it's really based on your vendors and your dealings with your vendors.
Oh, you mean how well you pay?
Right.
Your vendors.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you paying on time?
Right.
Do you have money in the bank to back up what you have going in assets? You know, for two of my businesses, I have very good credit, and we do have some extra resources and bank loans that we could take out. And what we do every year to 2 years is, so we don't lose them or to build them up, we'll take something out. We'll go, okay, we're just going to take this amount of money, maybe make a computer purchase or whatever, and then pay it back right away, just to keep that credit there, because we truly believe, my company believes, that one day there's always going to be that rainy day. That storm is going to hit us, and we're going to, whether it be a major move that we're going to have to make or whatever, we're going to need to be able to grab onto that cash and have it readily available. If it's like a muscle, you have to use it to build it.
Right.
And so just like your own personal credit cards, your business credit cards, you want to do that same thing. Use it, pay it down, and just keep on working that way up. And
Right, and a lot of businesses don't know that they could lose their line of credit if they don't use it, right?
Yeah.
They have to use it within a certain time. And, you know, there's a lot of rules, or they sign up for these line of credits and not really understand how they work. So you definitely also want to have your financial advisors take a look at what you have.
You know, the old school is to pay old school grandparents, maybe even my parents. Go get your cash each week, pay everything cash. You know, if you have to pay with a credit card because it's more than what you got in your pocket, you use it, you pay it off right away. I understand that really that's not the model that millennials and X and Y are told. They don't have hardly anything in their pocket. They pay it, and they'll pay it over a few months, especially at the beginning of building credit. So it shows that they are good credit payers, that they're paying their bills in a timely manner. And boy, that's so different. Are businesses affected that same way when they first open?
I've seen people, clients of mine, that have lines of credit, and yet they're bouncing checks. You know, and that pretty much tells how much they understand what those lines of credits are for. I mean, sometimes it's normal for a business to have a very low cash flow. You know, it seasonal. It's like us accountants. You know, right now is our worst time. You know, I mean, our best time is from January to April.
So I won't even see that shiny head over the next 5 months, and you either.
Actually, we get busy because most of the clients that I help will be like, I never want to be in this situation again. I want to be for tax year. So it's a little different, you know.
Yeah. You're at the beginning of setting them up and training them, and John's at the end when they're going on. So you help each other.
Well, for businesses, the other big issue is all of a sudden you want to move, and all of a sudden your competitors are becoming bigger and better because they may be brand new and bought some new machinery and stuff. And then you go, I want to buy something. If you don't have that credit built up for your business or anything behind, you put yourself behind it. I've seen a lot of businesses where it was just all they needed was a couple $1,000s and they could compete. And either they go, oh no, I don't want to spend the money, or I don't have the money, and then they're out of business in a couple of years from then.
Robert,
because
we got to take a break.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yep. So, but you want to finish what you just said? Well, I really.
No, I'm good enough.
Okay. So, having a line of credit and being able to use it is very important to finish that segment, and we will be back in a moment.
Unilatina International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with an applied, cutting-edge, holistic education model. Business, tourism, and communication students not only develop their field intellectual skills, but are also empowered to become holistic professionals and human beings through yoga, self-empowerment, holistic human development courses, and more. Sign up to become a holistic professional at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
The Entrepreneurial Hour is a weekly radio talk show hosted by Stephanie Cates and Robert Goltz that includes local South Florida business owners, subject matter experts, and industry leaders that recognize the need to share their knowledge with other businesses to help them start and grow their business. Join us Tuesday mornings, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, online at Radio Unilatina USA. Follow us on social media at #The Entrepreneurial Hour. The Entrepreneurial Hour is sponsored by the Miramar Pembroke Pines Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Weston Florida Chamber of Commerce, and the Pembroke Park West Park Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, we're back. My mic doesn't want to work with me. So, Stephanie, let's talk a little bit more about the ins and outs about QuickBooks specifically, and you had some specific questions that you wanted to bring.
I'm just curious because I know that it kind of is a big old package, and you said not everything, Monica, not everything is needed by everybody.
Right.
So if we were to look at invoices, I mean, that's something that it's pretty solid in being able to create invoices, correct?
Right. So the exception would be in a company that has a very high volume, right? So let's say you are an online retailer, you're selling, thousands of products a day. You may want to use a third-party application to take order management outside of QuickBooks, right? It just depends. So you may have really an exceptional high volume. Or you may have a different type of payment processing. Like, let's say your vendors are more of a 90-day, like we see a lot in construction or things like that. So then we would look for something more specialized to handle that type of invoicing.
John, I've run across in merchant services, people come to me and want me to do the payment. And I come up with like Service Pack and Service Pro and these very specific to pest control or mold and remediation companies. They're like entrenched with a certain company, and you could have your merchant services on the side, but you absolutely have to go through their invoicing, and that does not attach to QuickBooks. It doesn't attach. So all of that would have to be done manually, wouldn't it?
Well, she knows more about it.
Yes. So that's going to be more of a figuring out the workflow, right? So we see that a lot also in the restaurant industry. So you'll have to figure out the process of how those deposits get batched. If there's I don't want to get like too technical, but you would, possibly create a clearing account to be able to see how everything is clearing to the bank. How long are things taking to actually get deposited? So that's going to be more on the process and workflow side versus the software side.
Okay. So then the question I have for you probably is more apropos for you, John. Aside from the invoices, people look at software for the benefits. And I think that QuickBooks has, but some of the benefits are the expense tracking. And so my question would be for you, if I'm looking for a software program or I'm looking for benefits and I want it to track the benefits that I can save money on, what would I be looking at?
Well, I think the first benefit of this software is it can be found in all the softwares, which is to automate in terms of putting the expenses into the accounts where it should be, because that's probably the most important to file tax returns and to keep track of where you're spending your money. But in terms of tax saving, again, it allows you to not only put it at the right account, but put it in accounts that we can consider to have tax benefits and be able to deduct from the actual income And
Do you have some of those? Can you give us an idea of?
Well,
some of those?
it could also work on the other side. For example, meals and entertainment. It works the opposite way, where you make sure that you keep track of all of it, and only half is applicable. So if you put it in the wrong place, we're deducting the whole thing, and that could get you to trouble later on with the IRS if you get an audit and they find things where they're not supposed to be.
Okay. So basically, yes, when they set up, you want to make sure you on the front end or whatever, that they put the right deductions in the right area, so you're not cleaning up a mess in the back end.
Right. And on the other thing, I just remember in terms of the merchant processing or any other what we consider bank fees or transaction fees, sometimes they're working with different ones or different things. They could have merchant processing fees from one company. They could have bank fees from the bank.
Right.
If those things don't get categorized in the right place, they might be missed totally. And those are all expensive.
So when you sit down with somebody with their software and the reports that can be created from there of the expenses, do you say, hey, do you do merchant service? They say yes. You'd say, well, where's your expenses? I don't see it on this report.
Exactly.
And that's how you catch them?
Right. Or like, I'll give you an example. I had a client that had a high amount of chargebacks, for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And they were putting all those chargebacks to processing fees. That's not necessarily a processing fee, right?
No, so now it's a loss, isn't it?
Right. So it makes their processing fee look exorbitantly large, right? Which would be a red flag and things like that. And that's, a training issue. It's understanding what's going on.
That's very important what she brought up about the red flags. And that's the other big benefit in terms of keeping away from audits. It's, if you sold $100,000 and your merchant processing is $4,000 or $5,000, doesn't make any sense, right? So, it's a red flag for the IRS.
Yes. And you realize, I think you both know this, as a merchant processor now, the IRS has come realizing that in years past, there was no reporting done. So the credit card company had no obligation to send the IRS what you made or what the college made or you guys made. They didn't. And about 5 years ago now, they changed that. So that's called an IRS regulatory fee. And it's an IRS regulatory document that we have to send once a year to the IRS that tells everything that you made through merchant services and what was collected. So there's no surprise. And they're like, so I have people telling me now, well, I didn't want to have to get that. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of hearing what you're saying. Yes, that's income. Those checks were income. And
guess what?
Cash was income.
And guess what? If you don't file your tax returns and the IRS gets that report, they will send you a letter and they'll actually do tax returns for you without considering the fees. They'll charge you taxes on all of it.
Wow.
Cousin Vinny doesn't do that. We have a different way of collecting with Cousin Vinny.
And when you mentioned other processing, another thing I see a lot with my clients is they're accepting payments from Stripe or Square, and stuff like that. And they don't realize that that's a higher percentage than actually going out for merchant processing with one company,
right?
Versus accepting all of these, right? So one of the things that I do is we separate those for them so that they can see that percentage by each processor. Right, so that they can see what these transactions are costing them.
Well,
whether it's worth it.
Now that you mentioned that, sometimes people will mention to us, or we'll see in the accounts one, but we won't see the others. They keep a whole bunch of different accounts, and they'll only show us one.
And then
so sometimes those red flags will come up for us.
Right. Yeah. And now let's, even think about what's happening with the Cash App and Venmo, right? Like there's no reporting for that at all. There's no integration.
I actually have used Venmo myself to pay my family, hey, I'll buy that ticket for you. Just pay me back and you just do it. But you're right,
Talk about a bookkeeping nightmare.
Yes, and I think that's a Visa product. So Visa is like.
See, that's why we're never going to lose our jobs.
Absolutely.
The more technology they come up, the better.
Yeah. So let me ask you. We're going to start to wind down, and I don't want you to have not get the opportunity to again introduce yourselves, but I think this is really relevant. We've talked about having one, an accounting system, Robert. If you don't have an accounting system, you might as well be, as John says, driving down the street blind and just going to be hitting things and missing things and losing good, bad, and ugly. So that's number one. Number two, you need to set up at the right time, which is at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're going to do, whether it's Excel or something that's got teeth to it, which is any kind of the QuickBooks, or having John's company step in and do everything from the bookkeeping to the accounting to the CPA.
If you realize it 10 years later, come to me.
Yeah. So now I've got all these reports, I've done these things, and I'm sitting there going, how do I take this and put it into my tax returns? That's, I've heard people say, well, I have all my stuff. I'm just kind of stuck doing it. Should they just break down and really go out and find a professional? I mean, Monica, what do you tell them when they say, I've got all my QuickBooks stuff here?
I mean, there's definitely value in learning how to do it. But if it's not your area of expertise, I would say allow a professional to help you get there, and then get trained on how to go forward. Right? It's everyone goes into business for what they love to do. They didn't go into it for the bookkeeping and accounting aspect of it, So definitely, what is the value of your time in the business, right? Do you really want to do that? And I get that a lot. People are like, I'll just do it myself. And I'm like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
Could
how
you
much
not
are
be
they
growing your business?
But like we said, how much are they missing out on, right, John? I mean, you have to go all these tax classes.
Well, TurboTax is not going to take care of for you.
Okay.
Any company doing their own numbers or doing their bookkeeping, it's like me cooking for you. So it's like, you have to at the end realize that it takes time keeping track of all these numbers, and most people I know don't like numbers. So I love numbers. So.
Yeah. So find somebody who loves what they do.
Exactly.
So with that, I'd like to go ahead, and Monica, would you please tell our listeners how they can reach out to you for all of their QuickBooks needs and questions? And
definitely. So you can find us on the internet. We're www.agileplanners.com. And there's a contact me form there, and you can reach out to me directly. And I'd love to set up a discovery call with anyone that reaches out.
Okay, perfect. And John, how about you? Can you give our listeners some information on how they can reach out to you?
Sure.
Especially if they have any tax issues.
If you're in the area here, you can find us right next to the Pillbox Pharmacy. You can find us on the web, www.tnjtaxservice.com. And our phone number is 954-432-1700.
Excellent.
You can give us a call anytime. We'll take care of you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, we've got 2 minutes left. Robert, I'm giving you the floor.
You know what? I just think it's very important. We've talked about this subject matter before, and it's just important for businesses and individuals to really watch where that money flows from. That is a key one of those key indicators. When I talk to businesses, we talk about certain things that are important, and to me, it's just a handful of things. Having a passion for what you're doing, having the right people taking care of and watching the money that should be watching it. We are not all individuals that are masters at everything, and it's much cheaper to find somebody else to do the work and do it right the first time, then you have to go back and forth on it. And, that's where I have, for all my companies and even for the chamber, we have multiple people that are trained to do things. I know how to look at books. I know how to read a P&L. I know how to use QuickBooks. I don't do it because it's not what I do all the time. It's why I have my staff for. It's why I have an accountant for. And people sometimes think they can do it all on their own. They're not going to get all the benefits from it. They're going to be paying the price later.
So just one little quick story. I'm a market strategist. I do marketing. And when I sit down with a company and I talk to them, even when I'm doing their merchant services, so what's your biggest seller? And they'll tell me, oh, we sell, an HVAC company. Oh, our installations are by far what we do the most of. And then you start going through, what they did, and you find out, okay, there's a 4,000 here, and then there's like $100 to $400 sales. Then there's another. So they had in a month 3 large installations of $4,000 to $10,000. And then they had literally 100 daily calls to go out and do small fix-its. Yet they really thought that their big selling, they were selling mostly, is like a full installation. And you have to say, how much is that installation?
There's so much power in those numbers.
Exactly. So you go back and say, how much is it costing you to get that equipment, the man hours to go do that installation? Is it what's where you're really making your money? Why not just be a HVAC repair person and go back in if that's what really makes the better money, and you're not having to build these lines of credit for these $10,000 machines, and because it really can be overwhelming. So knowing your numbers can not only help you stay in business, but it can help you define your business and find out where your strengths are. So again, thank you so much, Monica and John, for being with us today. Mr. Robert?
Stephanie, it's always my pleasure to be.
All the girls.
It is. But anyway, with the beautiful host always, Marcella here.
Marcella, we love you.
And Una Latina University for hosting our
Actually,
show.
I just graduated their college, you know.
Is it a college or university?
Unilatina International College. I have to give you the accent. Unilatina International College.
It's the great place to be.
It is.
So we want to thank them for being our host. And we just want to say, everyone, have a great week. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.
Actually, we won't. Next Tuesday, we're taking off the week because it's Thanksgiving and we've got a lot of people. So we will be rerunning one of our fave shows. And we will see you the week after Thanksgiving.
All right. Then that's what we'll be doing.
Robert's like, yeah.
We're out.
The Entrepreneurial Hour with Stephanie Cates and
Unilatina
Robert Goltz.
International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with focus on entrepreneurship. UIC offers associate and bachelor degree programs in business, tourism, and communications and media. Associate degree students develop their business plan while studying at UIC. Dream, learn, and grow. Join now our business incubator. Learn more at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.